Good Thursday morning. Proverbs chapter 12 and verse 19 reminds us that the lip of truth shall be established forever, but a lying tongue is but for a moment. If I were to ask you what you were known for among your friends and relatives, would it be that you have a truthful tongue? Or is it that when you say something, everybody has to wonder? You may have heard that story about a man that went fishing one time and he didn't catch anything. So on his way home, he passed by the fish market and he picked out 3 big fat fish. And he told the man, "Before you wrap those fish up, will you do me a favor?" He said, "Well, sure, you're buying my fish. What do you want?" He said, "Would you take each one of those fish and just toss them to me?" He said, "Okay." So he tossed him one fish, and he caught it, he laid it down, and he tossed him the next one, he caught it, and laid it down. Then the third one, he caught it, and he laid it down. He said, "Thank you." The man was wrapping the fish and looked at him curiously and said, "What was that all about?" And he said, "Well, the truth is, when I get home, I want to be able to look at my wife and say, I caught them." I think there's a lot of folks like that in this world that would like to kind of go around the issue and maybe just pass up the technicalities and say the real facts are not what's important, but what I really meant sincerely from my heart is what's important. The value of a person's reputation over their integrity is critical. They'll do whatever it takes to make people think very highly of them, even though they would be willing to deceive them to make them think that. Is that the kind of person you are? Is that the kind of life that you've lived? You may remember in the scriptures in 1 Samuel chapter 15, there's a story about Saul right after he was anointed king. He was given a big job to do, and when he went to do the job to slay the Amalekites, he didn't do it. He saved the best of the flocks, he saved the king and the queen, and he saved these people and brought them because it was a pride thing to be able to come back from battle with all these treasures. But the Lord asked him very plainly, "What do I hear? Am I hearing the bleating of the sheep?" Samuel was talking to him, speaking to him as a mouthpiece for God. And he said, I'm hearing that you didn't obey God the way that you were commanded. You were commanded to destroy everything." Immediately, he started scooting around the technicalities, didn't he? "Well, truth is, I knew God loves, a good sacrifice, so I was going to bring all these really nice animals and sacrifice them." You may remember what Samuel told him. He said, "It's better to obey than to sacrifice." You see, Saul was learning a valuable lesson that day. Unfortunately, it didn't stick. For the rest of Saul's kingdom and the time that he reigned as king, it was always going down a path of lies or deceit or trickery or shortchanging the people, slowly destroying his integrity until finally his own son didn't want to listen to him any longer and was willing to listen to a friend over his own father. It was a wise choice on his son's part, but even Saul lost his son finally. So the key in this is to make sure that the lip of truth is what's going to be established forever. But a lying tongue is but for a moment. There's an old adage that I'm sure you've heard: honesty is the best policy. And I'll tell you that when you live a life of truth, you'll not only please the Lord, but you're going to keep a clear conscience as well. So try to be truthful in all the things you do and maintain a life of honesty and integrity. I don't think it's going to be something that is going to come back and harm you later. In fact, it's in Proverbs chapter 12 and verse 18 that says, "There is that speaketh like the piercings of a sword, but the tongue of the wise is health." When people go away after they've spoken with you, are they more fulfilled? Are they encouraged? Are they admonished to do good? Has your tongue been like health to them? Has it caused them to say, "Hey, this is something that I can count on"? I hope that's the case with your reputation and your integrity.